reset the thing before we go live. And give it a moment. And we are live! Hello, everybody! We are back. Sorry for last week. We had a bunch of problems with me trying to work on stuff, and I'm still editing on the back room for the third to last scripted video of the month. But yeah, Alexis is back for fun with Paper Mario and the Thousand Year Door.
I have the guy. Duh.
Yeah, after Alexis and I went to her sister's wedding, her mom came by and brought over everything else that she had at her mom's place, so that was with everything.
So yeah, we are going to explore a pirate's cave. Ooh.
Well, that's just marvelous. But yeah, the video I'm trying to edit right now is kicking my ass because it's over 2 hours long, and it's not in chronological order, any of it. So that takes a lot more time to find all the right clips because I don't have it, like, ordered out. Because I got in the habit of, when I'm writing my scripts, to give myself time codes for major events, so it's an easier time of finding the footage. With game footage capture, it's not as bad because I can just have a text document open and write a bunch of notes about what happened, so I know what to look for when. Oh yes, Cure Crystal about the recent XDU collab announcement. For those who don't know, Symphogear has a mobile game called Symphogear X Drive Unlimited. It has done a bunch of franchise crossovers, including Super Sentai, Gridman, Godzilla, yes, seriously, and they just recently announced a collaboration with Yuki Yuna as a hero, which is getting a complete series Blu-ray release pretty soon.
Yeah, I have on pre-order, but it's being tied up because of one other thing on my order.
Yeah. Still waiting for Futopia, probably in your region, yeah. For those who are watching Futopia, and to date this stream more than the day premiered thing already does. Actually, those have not been appearing on YouTube as of late, and it annoys me. Futopia is about to debut Ryu Terui in animated form. Yes, cover Axel showing up in this weekend's episode. Actually, there's a good question. Why are we in the Crunchyroll broadcast of the show not getting the episode previews? Because they actually do exist. They've been getting posted on YouTube, but why is Crunchyroll doing that? Funimation, when they were still Funimation, kept doing that with shit, and we have no idea why it's being excluded. Like, okay, maybe it'd be annoying for marathon format, but not every series has it excluded, it's just certain ones, and we don't know why. Case in point, the Gridman / Dynazenon tease at the end of Dynazenon did not show up for us. Funimation's streaming of that show excluded it, and we don't know why. Terror of Death, what are your thoughts on the possibility of a new Grendizer anime? Positive? I've not actually seen Grendizer, I've just learned about it from the general osmosis of Mazinger stuff.
Like, I'm excited because Grendizer was always that, like, the odd man out in a lot of situations, you know?
Yeah.
Alright? You gotta be extra careful.
When about should Fang Metal appear? I think that's Volume 6, and we're expecting them to go through the end of either Volume 2 or Volume 3 with their anime adaptation. With them being in the middle of the second arc of the manga right now, with the episode count, they might actually make it through the third volume, so it's likely Season 2. Yeah, I just get mucusy sometimes. Thank you for the concern. Cure Crystal, same with them and their Symphogear GX Blu-ray, but that's being held up because of Space Sheriff Gavan, which hopefully should show up at the end of September if Discotek's release rates are any indication. No joke, my Symphogear GX Blu-ray just showed up 2 days ago.
And mine's the one being tied up. What is this? What is it with this year and me getting screwed over in the pre-order department?
Yeah, she has been having terrible pre-order problems. The Symphogear Act modes, for one example, because unfortunately USA Gundam Store has not fixed their pre-order delay problems. Her Dyna Xenon got screwed over, and I actually have a silicone mold making stuff to see if we can't just custom make the parts she's missing. Because they had a missing runner in her Dyna Xenon release.
Oh, come on.
Media Hood reviews. With all these spikes, I'm getting Undying flashbacks. I still need to play Undertale. JX Demon did not know you could go through those spikes in platform. Pure Crystal, do you think they'll release a real great variant of the Genesis machines in a separate kit or as a separate Genesis Gal Geiger kit? I would be happy if they went either way. Like, they already have the Galleon, and... actually, there's a good question. Do you think they'd be encouraged to do a Figure-Eye Standard Guy?
Dude, if they did, would that not be, like, the coolest thing ever? No, I mean, like, no, seriously, if there was anybody who could, like, just really deserve a Figure-Rise kit, it'd be Cyborg Guy, right? You can give him the knife, and... The only real problem would be the hair, but I would assume that you would have to have, like, different molds for his hair, you know?
Yeah, or do it in pieces like they did with some of the other girls. I mean, that has been done before. HJ5 is still waiting for the Dyna Xenon on Blu-ray to get over to them. Sorry it's been so heavily delayed, but that's on Crunchyroll now. Unless there's a different distributor in your region of the world. Want them to see them try to do a real great Vilks in the future. That's from Pure Crystal. Actually, that's on the backlog for Good Smile. They have a Moderoid Vilcus prototyped, and they're just waiting for final approval from, I think, Sunrise on that?
Yeah, it would have to be Sunrise.
They're also doing a Moderoid Big O, which I still want that.
It looks really good.
HA5's hyped, we got an update today on Next Gridman project. Yes, for those who didn't see, there was a teaser from Studio Trigger of a picture of Hibiki, not Hibiki.
The other Hibiki.
The other Hibiki. Hibiki Yuta Hibiki. From his actors back, as well as Takara's act. Basically, the main cast of Gridman, Forest Gridman, I should again clarify, are back, as well as the main cast from Dyna Xenon. So it's going to be a full team crossover. Mech82, do you think some older Super Robot Wars games could get releases outside of Japan now that Harmony Gold is no longer a problem? The issue is just their length and the amount it would take to translate them. I think at best we're going to get fan translations of them like Super Robot Wars J did, even though fan translation is going to invoke a bunch of problems. I'm actually surprised how many Super Robot Wars fan translation projects there have been out there. Not just the partial ones for Z that got through a couple of those games, which I only learned about recently, or is that just people subtitling the games on YouTube? Regardless, I own a copy of the Super Robot Wars Original Generation Endless Frontier Exceed fan translation cart, which I might do. I have something that kind of needs me to do it, but I don't know if I will actually be able to get to it. Have you seen Pure Crystal? Have you seen Love After World Domination? Yes, we very much enjoyed it and enjoyed laughing along with it. For those who have not seen Love After World Domination, it's basically a romance comedy Super Sentai series where the main character is one of the female generals of an evil faction, basically working for a cross between Shocker and the Black Cross Army from Kamen Rider and Go Ranger. And she's dating the red leader of her opposing Sentai team. Terror Death question, would you be willing to review the French-Japanese co-production Oban Star Racer? I actually watched half of Oban Star Racers, when there was a Toon Disney promo for my, cable service at the time in the mid-2000s, or at least, I should say my mother's cable service at the time, but I didn't get to finish it because then the special promotion for Kids WB, not Kids WB, Toon Disney ended, which is annoying because that was the only way, that was at the time the only way you could watch Power Rangers. HG5, the one's kind of like Red Racer and the lead female villain from Car Ranger. They're not modeled after them. No, they're not modeled after them.
You know what, some days...
Red Racer was a snarking bastard.
Some days you just need to throw a bomb.
And it's like, they're not the only example of female general plus red Sentai rolled character. It's a trope that goes back older than that.
Ooh, turn back. Ooh, go no further or you'll never leave. And
DJ Toku rewatched their fave isekai Log Horizon and maybe watched it. I have the complete series Blu-ray. I know how good it is. I need to get a copy of Destruction of the Round Table. It's, for those who don't know about Log Horizon, it's basically that, it's basically a VR isekai that asks the question, what if the VR isekai became a real world and you were trapped there? Like, loses most of the game mechanic rules, that the NPCs become actual people. It's an actual full storyline exploration of the concept, instead of just making it to have a OP character. Pure Crystal, I was gonna say the episode of Time Force and Nadira's Dream Days, in a way. Yeah, that's more along the lines of what should be the comparison. People keep doing the Car Ranger thing because Car Ranger is in popular consciousness, whereas Car Ranger, they never did anything with it. It was a joke. It wasn't even a good joke. That's one of my things with Car Ranger. The jokes aren't funny. Whereas Love After World Domination is a full exploration of, romance, but with a comedic overtone to it, because,
Also, I want to point out, a boat symbol. But we can't turn into a boat.
Unless...
Man, if only there was, some way we could, become a boat, Yeah.
I was saying, the difference between I see with Love After World Domination versus other comparisons is just, most people think it's Power Rangers, for one thing, so that's generally wrong, because it's spoofing Super Sentai. And there have been other romance plots, and it's just, the Car Ranger one is one of those in consciousness because, Naruhisa Arakawa wrote the Car Ranger tribute episode, and they spoofed that in Gokaiger, and it's... Just because it's the popular spoof doesn't mean it's the most appropriate example of it. Go Ranger is a much better parody / comedy series than Car Ranger and will die on that hill. Yes.
I would kind of agree on that.
The issue with Car Ranger versus Go Ranger is even comedy series can be serious, and comedy series are usually better when they're serious because then you know they're being sincere. Whereas if it's spoof all the time, then you don't know when to actually, you know, give a damn. If everything is parody, nothing becomes parody. Like, you know, actual serious threats in Akiba Ranger that made the story work.
Like, here's the thing, like, from what I remember seeing Car Ranger, like, I only maybe caught like a few episodes, but it's definitely not my type of humor, and in fact, I don't even know, like, how, I can see how a certain type of person could find it funny, but that's not the kind of humor I'm looking for, you know what I mean? Like, and
because it's a series that hinges so much of it on the joke, if you don't like the jokes or don't find them funny, then the show is going to be irritating to you at best. I think people have some of the same criticism of Go Ranger, and fair enough. I just find it better because it actually has a you know, tangible storyline. So even if it has a lot of comedic episodes, it's still at least going somewhere, as opposed to a gang of bikers or space bikers from space attacking because. Which is, Kira Crystal, which is better, Go-Go 5 or Lightspeed Rescue? That's definitely a pros and cons argument. Like, Go-Go 5 has the increased focus on family, which is something Lightspeed Rescue skipped, versus
okay, like Lightspeed Rescue didn't like skip it entirely.
Yeah, you're right. I should have rephrased that. The entire team is not a family, but there are familial relationships within it. That was where my brain was going. The team were not actually rescue siblings. But Lightspeed Rescue does a lot of good things on its own, and it's very much a back-to-basics series after the last two series had been pretty heavy on space overtones.
And also, let's be real, like, major props to actually having, like, an actual demon in the storyline, you know?
Yeah, you know, actually saying, referring to demonic stuff without the hypersensitive censorship stuff going on.
Also, like, again, this isn't the easy one, but the Titanium Ranger, like...
Yeah.
Like, can we all agree that his entrance was, like, so cool, right?
Yeah.
Like, nobody expected it, and it's like...
Like, they did not need to do that, They did
not need to do that, but honestly, like, his design doesn't seem all that different from, like, the original suits and everything, and it's like...
Hell, even the original Morpher that Bandai made for him was actually good and in the same vein as the rest of the team's transformation devices. I'm pretty sure they got design specs from Plex for that because it all was cohesive. Mm-hmm. Copacetic? HJ5 is basically the realization that Go-Go 5 is basically a live-action Thunderbirds. You're not wrong!
You're not wrong!
Terror of Death was thinking of the whole thing with Kandarilla and Nobuharu from Kyoryuger. Yes, that is another good example.
That's more appropriate.
That's a very good example. Speaking of which, Nobuharu's actor is back for Kamen Rider Geats, and good on him.
Yeah, like, no, seriously, good on him. Like, it's good to see him, like, in a Rider series.
Yeah, though, a lot of people are being like, he's the first Super Sentai actor to also star as a main character in Kamen Rider. And those of us who were fans of the Showa era are like, this is Hiroshi Miyauchi erasure. Yeah. For those who don't know about Hiroshi Miyauchi, he was Kamen Rider V3, Owl Ranger in Go Ranger, and Big One in Jack Dengeki Tai, as well as the mentor of the O Ranger.
Wasn't he also Kaikatsu Zubat?
I was about to say that too. I just ran out of breath. But yes, he was also Kaiketsu Zubat. He is starred in and been in a lot of things. The only one who rivals his going on to do other projects listing is shoot, I'm forgetting his name. Gavan's actor. I'm forgetting his name off the top of my head. I'm terrible.
Kenji Oba!
Kenji Oba!
You fork over your card! You forgot the name of our Lord and Savior.
He's not my specific Lord and Savior, but do you know how terrible I am with names?
Hey, listen, if Kenji Oba comes to this house and knocks on the door, like, I'm not gonna be responsible for what happens.
Yes, Hiroshi Miyachi was also the commander in Wind Spectre and Soul Brain. But that's my point. He keeps appearing in these things, so to ignore that he was the first actor to star in both Kamen Rider and Super Sentai is a pretty big misstep. Especially since they have had other actors who have done that since, including Go On Gold, who was also Kamen Rider Zabi, and also I'm forgetting Geki's actor's name from Zyuranger, but he was not just the Tyranno Ranger, but he was also Kamen Rider J, so it's happened a few times before. Yeah. Oh, and also, since we were just talking about Go-Go 5, the green member of that Sentai team was also the primary user of the Kamen Rider Delta gear.
Oh, he was?
Yeah.
Oh.
And also, we recently had Kane Kosugi, who was Ninja Black, become Kamen Rider Diamond, who was... Okay, he's not a main character writer, but it still counts.
Yeah.
He was also Ultraman Powered and great. What about the guy who played Izak in Kamen Rider Saber? Wasn't he Shinken Gold? Yes, he was. But not that also falls on the main rider qualifier. But as it's not a main rider. But again, it goes back to the point where they were forgetting all these other actors who have also done this.
You know how the cycle is. Like, a new writer series happens, and you get a bunch of first-timers who don't do their research.
Or they're veterans who have never done their research. It's like, I forget names, but I remember that they exist. Or at least I've done a better job at knowing they exist.
I finally learned how to dodge missiles. I love doing that.
I don't think they're missiles, I think they're bullets. Which is strange because they're being fired out of cannons.
I love Vivian because she can set people on fire.
Yeah. Wizard of Wonder is an Ultraman powered American. Kane Kusugi is American. He is Japanese American. His father, moved from Japan to America to take place in their, film industry. Kane Kusugi was born in America and then went to work in Japan. So it's a example of counts as both.
The giant pink bombs aren't real. They can't hurt you.
And yes, Badre Bailey is right. Kane Kosugi also returned to voice Ultra Empowered in one of the recent Ultra Galaxies fight movies.
I think he has a YouTube channel or whatever. And he like did a video where he was making like a protein shake or like a smoothie, and he just straight up like takes a fruit and squeezes the juice out of it with his bare hand.
Yeah. But I have cursed and forbidden knowledge concerning Kane Kosugi, which is going to be the subject of a video in the future. Alexis, please don't spoil it.
York.
Badra Bailey, Sho Kosugi, Kane Kosugi's father, actually voiced Power in the original show. Sho Kosugi also showed up in Kakuranger. It was such a big deal, they actually made his appearance how big his appearance was part of the name of an episode. It was kind of how the spoof was running at that point.
Oh, sweet, sweet salvation! I thought no one would ever come. I have given up. What's that? spare you the prologue and just curse you already? Now, how did you know I was gonna do that?
Precedent.
No, seriously, hang on a second. Can't you just listen to my spiel for a little bit? I've been locked in here forever. Sports tips, doing nothing but practice the speech.
Yeah, we have stuff to do.
I'm already the 4th cursing chess you've met? Are you serious?
Are you serious?
So you're saying you know exactly how this is all going to turn out? Man, talk about a raw deal. You're a twisted little guy, you know that? Okay.
First...
Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead.
Okay, fine. I get the picture, okay? See, all I wanted was to see the face of some unlucky soul when I popped out. Is that so much to ask? No. Anyway, what are you waiting for? Just open it already. You know what? The key looks like Mr. Seen It All already. Some ghost here has it. So just beat him, get it, and we'll get this farce over with. Come on now, I'm waiting.
Hugh Crystal did not know that Genjiro from Symphogear is also voiced by Ryoma Nagare from Getter Robo Armageddon. Yeah, Symphogear has some amusing actor illusions in its supporting cast. Ogawa, Tsubasa, and Maria's manager is voiced by Seiichiro Hoshi, who is best known as Kazuma from Scride, Kira Yamato, and also Gino Weinberg from Code Geass. One of the villains of season 5, I'm forgetting their name. Starts with a V. Is it Vanessa?
Oh, Dr. Bear?
No, season 5.
Oh,
is it Vanessa?
Vanessa, yeah, Vanessa.
Yeah, Vanessa is voiced by Gokai Yellow. Now Ichimichi. So it's kind of all over the place. Yeah, JX Demon, gotta be real, they do enjoy that by the time you get to the 4th chest, they're playing the self-aware card.
And I just love how the being in the chest is just like, oh, come on, really?
Yeah, we already talked about the new Grandizer project, Padre Bailey. Or at least we're interested. And the promo stuff is shows like going to Guy, he looks a lot younger than he is. It's like he's pushing 80, if not there already. DJ Toku, what, did Nagai get tips from Araki? Nagai is older than Araki. Terror of Death, do you think if the Gone Blu-ray, not DVD, Blu-ray, set sells well, we will possibly get more Metal Hero shows imported? Probably. Discotheque is pretty good about getting audience return on that kind of thing if they see good sales and stuff initially. Like, the Symphogear Blu-rays blew up, and you see how they're doing GX, XZ, and XV basically... well, almost back-to-back, with delay for Noel to actually translate the series to the best of their plausible capabilities. So yeah, considering Space Wolf, Mega Beast and Investigator Just Beyond the Blu-rays that they did 2 years ago sold well, it wouldn't surprise me if after doing Gavon, they were able to get the other Space Sheriffs, because the other Space Sheriff series have not been licensed, and no, their use in VR Troopers does not count. Plus, they've rescued stuff from Shout Factory before, so if anyone says, oh, because since Shout Factory has the VR Troopers license and the other Saban license, then they have that. No, they can still get it.
Alright.
It's not automatic.
Alright, I'm gonna do this. Yeah, whoop-de-doo, you got the key, party time, now let me out already.
Let me out. Let me out!
Alrighty, here we go, since you're just itchy to get this over with. Ahem. Wee-hee! Fools! You dogs fell right into my absolutely brilliant trap, and now you will suffer. Oh yeah, I am so evil. Bathed in the foul, awful. Wait, what was next? Oh yeah, you fools will be cursed forever for your appalling stupidity. You will rue the day you open this chest of doom. And now you wretched guy, be cursed.
Weeb.
Now you're cursed, but good. Suffer, suffer, suffer. Wait, that's maybe too much. Are you alright? That didn't really hurt, did it? Good, squirm and suffer like socially awkward worms. From now on, in certain places, if you press Y, you will turn into a paper boat. Isn't that just gruesome? Just try it out so I can see the depth of your humiliation. Feel the terror of your fate.
For some reason, I am reading every single line that is being said here as Megumine.
Yes! Oh yes, such suffering! Do you feel the horror? Now you're a petty little boat. You will float on the water. People will laugh at you. You will be spit upon. But it only works in certain places, so don't worry. It's not too bad.
Yeah, I deliberately, I wanted this entire thing to go off. So, as I was going to say, the only bad thing about Gavon that I remember is a lot of its directing is done by Osamu Kaneda, and I have been unrepentant over the course of years and years in saying that Osamu Kaneda is the worst Toku director ever. Like, it is impossible for him to get through a single fight scene without jump cutting around it, because the choreography is that awful that he cannot produce one coherent fight scene. Like, I know that's as much down to the stunt choreographer, but I'm pretty sure he choreographs all the stunts he directs as well, and it just gets bad and embarrassing. Like, the stuff that is done recently that causes me nausea by them playing with the camera angles, that is bad use of directing technique by someone who doesn't know how to do it, but at least it's always been newer people that are trying to be experimental, so they don't know that what they're doing is actually terrible. Osamu Kaneda has had a career in the industry for 50 years, and he's never improved. I think he's retired now, but, it's something going into Metal Heroes that you're not going to see good fight choreography. Hell, the Kamen Rider series from the 70s had better fight choreography for the most part that over Gavon. It's just like Gavon did something different and the storytelling was just that damn good. For the time, at least. It will probably feel dated to people who are so used to hyper-serialization that they're not as used to actual episodic storytelling. For the middle ground on that, I like episodic storytelling that forms into a longer serialized arc. You know, continuity. You don't have to hardline it so everything becomes hyper-compressed, but you also should not forget it. Kamen Rider Double is the excellent balance in that you have a long-form arc and a short-form arc. Short-form arcs are 2 episodes dealing with a specific investigative case. Long-form arc is the dealing with the antagonists of the series, fleshing them out, and, you know, fighting them on interim battles. DJ Toku, maybe they've been spoiled by modern Toku, but 50-odd episodes with just one Henshin hero can be very repetitive to them very fast. Especially if they don't actually do much different with each hero and the case is like. As long as they can keep changing things up in what they're doing with the cast, then they're fine. But I can see that. But we also have the problem with more modern shows in that there's just too many damn heroes, or they make every relevant character into a henshin hero, even the villains. Like, the villain line needs to stop. I don't care if Bandai's making money off of it. They're not making money off of it. But it needs to be dialed back. And as usual, Ryuki is the root sin of all that. Yeah, the problem with them doing so many heroes and so many characters is the more characters you do, the less likely it is that they're going to have tangible developments. Like, people complain about Kyoryuger having 10 Sentai members and not even half of them getting development, and that's fair, but half of them were supposed to be mentor class where they're not supposed to get development, and yet they actually did. When we were watching the show, I had to contradict that in that grand majority of them did get episodes, focused or not. They were just always paired with another character to facilitate that. And it wasn't exactly helped that a lot of storyline episodes, and thus the main character who is part of those storyline episodes had to take central focus. Again, it's a character balancing act. Don't shove in more characters and more superheroes and more superpowered forms than you need to. Oh, not helpful to revise, not to diss-revise for people who liked it, but it's factually true that there are more items on Premium Bandai than were released by retail for that entire line. I think only 2 of the main characters had their stuff released retail, the rest were forced up onto P Bandai just because there were so many of them, and like, that's not good.
Like, Kamen Rider John has been, like, a prominent character from, like, the early side of things, and yet her driver was P Bandai.
That one should have been the main release. One of the main releases. Says that you fear about Geats due to how many writers from the start. Well, we know from the previews, and Yu Yu Takahashi's balanced about that, in that a few of them are going to get eliminated, but since they're going to get eliminated early on, it's not, they don't have much of a chance to really get developments unless they have their focus episode be all about their character and then their death, which is not a good balance. Like, Yu Takahashi got a lot of flack for killing off Vulcan, so... But then again, I'm not watching Geats. I am on a no Toei, no time mood.
Look, shipwrecked toads.
Oh, they'll just form in a fungus. Oh wait, salt kills mushrooms. Never mind.
Yeah, yes.
Is this a saltwater cave?
We're by the sea, so I'm believing yes.
DJ Toku think Gaim did a lot of writers well for the most part, but that's just them. Gaim is the reintroduction of the too many writers problem, but at least when they did them, they debuted them in bursts, so, and some of them were already established characters, so there was time to give character. But a lot of the other series have been aping Gaim and Ryuki that just provide them and then not focus on them, just focus on the main character. It's like, again, balance is the key. Balance is needed. You must bring balance to the Force. The Avatar brings the balance to the Benders, you know, that kind of thing. I actually prefer early Neo Heisei when they kept it just 2 or 3. And yeah, Media Hood is correct in that every writer had a purpose and importance to the story. A lot of the recent ones have not done that.
Like, a lot of times when a writer is introduced in modern stuff, it's like they get jobbed maybe not like 5 episodes later, you know?
Or just made to be worthless throughout the entire plot of the story, like Mad Rogue. Like, the character that was Mad Rogue had a purpose in the story. Mad Rogue itself did not.
We freed them! Go, my toads! Be free!
Or the stuff with Sabella and Saber, where after the point where she stops being an antagonist, most of her dialogue ends up being about her brother.
And even then, the dialogue about her brother is...
Cringe.
Yikes. Like, yikes. Why are we still doing this in the year of our Lord? You know? Like...
JXD, I mean, I'll be honest, concerning Ryuki, despite my introduction of the Kamara, I kind of thought it would have been better if the show kind of focused on 5 of the 13 riders. It did focus on 5 of the 13 riders, that's the problem. Or, that's one of the myriad of problems.
Oh, god damn it. I fell and died. Good thing I saved, but... Ouch.
Oof.
Stupid environmental hazards.
Mediahood rider reviews. Honestly, I think Aguilera has the worst of the revised riders with how she's basically just a red and white John. And instead of the King Cobra theme, it's Queen Bee because... lesbian teasing? Question mark?
It's like... I mean...
Again, we did not watch Revised.
Like, all I know is that, like, they could have done things a lot better. It's like, even if you're a fan of Revice or like any modern show, you must agree that like having a lot of stuff on Key Bandai is like not good for anybody, right?
DJ Toku, does Kabuto have too many riders? It has 7. Two of the 7 are characters that were long established and were trading over around the Kamara Zabi sector earlier in the show. So no, the issue is not too many riders because it balances its characters. That's the key. Balance.
Like, let me put it this way. If you feel like you can write 10 writers within a show, then okay, do you. But remember, the more writers you introduce, the more people are going to be wanting, like, development out of these people. You know what I mean? Yeah.
So yeah, Kabuto does the balance well because they're all there to provide character contrasts against Soji Tendo. That is their purpose in the story. Soji Tendo is a post-character development character who has his own quirks and issues, but is otherwise a decent person that is tsundere and doesn't need to feel the need to justify his actions because he's doing them for other people, whereas everyone else has to assert their own wills over other people and their viewpoints, and forcing your views on another person is not exactly a great thing.
I still love that line where it's like, did you ask why the sun, why does it shine? Or, you know what?
Mm-hmm.
Like, Soji Tendo is also that character that I feel like a lot of people seem to misinterpret.
Truly misinterpret. Like, he's smug and full of himself, but his pride does not go into outright arrogance. He's just fucking with people.
And also, like, he's a kind of, like, arrogant that I can get behind because he can actually back up his arrogance. You know what I mean?
Like, his competitiveness is one of his flaws, but that's just because he's a perfectionist.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I generally like Shoji Tendo as a protagonist. I have much bigger issue with, Kagami.
Kagami!
Mm. Vajre Bailey, in the first trailer for Kamen Black Sun, you actually hear Shadow Moon say Henshin, so it seems like Toei's still promoting Shadow Moon as a rider because Bandai. No, not because Bandai, because Toei fucked up depiction of Shadow Moon. I will die on that hill that Shirakura fucked things up forever with how he treated that stuff. And it's not exactly the first time. I might be wrong in this and might be misremembering, but I'm pretty sure All Riders vs. Die Shocker, Decade's focus movie where they did the mass crossover, also did that with him. No, I could be mistaken, but that's when they went from prototype of antagonist Evil Riders to actually just a common rider with him, which I do not agree with. I do not agree with at all. We freed science chucksters. I don't know what that's a reference to.
Let me see. Oh! Yeah, okay, so,
oh, that guy.
Yeah, the pinatas. Because in, Super Mario Sunshine, like, there was a level where they just straight up chuck you. Like, they pick you up and chuck you, and it's probably one of the more annoying levels, simply because, like, you have barely any control over it.
No. DJ Toku is in the minority that likes the potential larger casts because then they get spin-off content. And again, the issue isn't just large casts in general or on principle. It's about them not balancing the character focus and development of them, which makes the inclusion of more riders more pointless because they're not going to be focused on characters. They're just treated as one-offs that aren't allowed to have character or an arc to them, which, if you're writing a show with a bunch of characters, why are you only focusing on one or two?
Whoa, did I surprise you? Yeah, sorry about that. See, I actually followed you in here, but I got lost along the way, and, well, anyway, I followed this path, and I...
To be fair, Black Sun is its own thing. Yes, but it's from everything we've heard to this point, it's following in all the other Reboot Riders content in that it kind of misses the point of the original material. Which, hey, if they want to do their completely own thing, they're fine to do it. It's just, like, it's not done well in the past.
Okay, can we get off that topic for a little bit?
Please stop sending us Toku shit! Like, I keep doing this every stream. Not focus on the Toku stuff. I'm not the Toku guy anymore.
Ooh.
Like, I was trying to be polite and civil about it, but you guys know this by this point.
So,
do I need to make it a rule again? Sorry, go ahead.
Like, I understand, like, guys, let's be real. Like, no more Toku stuff, okay? We're trying to have a nice time here, and we're having a message from the incoming talking head, okay?
And we've told you guys many times, we've not been watching Revice. We don't give a damn about Revice.
So, yeah. Cortez.
So this is the pirate treasure that makes you immortal. When is Captain Jack and Barbossa going to be here?
Yep.
So any thoughts on the real great God Gundam? Not in yet.
But from what I have seen, it's like, holy, what kind of wizardry did they perform to get this level of engineering, you know?
Any good qualities to Super Robot Wars 30?
Oh, do you mind if I answer that since I'm more positive about it than...
Yeah, you're more positive about it than me.
Okay, so... Okay, so... I would say that if there's one thing I feel like 30 it should be given credit for is that it is the first Super Robot Wars game that's readily available on a service that you can actually, in platforms that you can buy without having to import anything. I know that sounds like, that seems like small, but
they should have done that with V, X, and T.
They should have. Yes, we can all agree on that, but I also appreciate that despite how there's like way too many units, I do think that there is some decent ideas in here that if they developed them, they could lead to like a better experience.
Yeah,
like,
there is a lot of good representation in the game. It's just because there's so many things in there, and because the wrong stories are given the
I would say
focus,
like
they're not developed.
So I'm taking a break from the battle so I can articulate my thoughts better. But so I feel like when I was playing through 30, my biggest criticism was they were focusing on the things that they shouldn't have been focusing on, and there were also too many stories that were set post-series, or like they were wrapped up super quickly, right? Because we've had Robot Wars games where Charged Counterattack gets stretched out throughout the story in like little bits here and there.
But they flesh it out. T is a great example.
They flesh it out so like the conflict seems a bit more natural and Charged Actions comes off as a bit more reasonable, right? But like in 30, like it was already going to use Lelouch the Resurrection, which is a movie I didn't like, but I was willing to give it the benefit of the doubt to see like, could they incorporate it in such a way that would make me see the finer points about it, right?
Yeah, and then they basically did nothing with it.
It was wrapped up within 2 missions, and it's like...
And they did nothing to fix any of its story problems.
Right, and they just kind of told it straight, and when Robot Wars tends to, like, do better when it's fixing story points, if it, like,
fixing and fleshing out stuff.
Right, but back on the positive side of things, I will say that while it went too DLC crazy, the DLC characters that they did introduce, I think were really good indicators of what the future might hold.
Yes,
it's like
especially if those are the focuses of the next Super Robot Wars game, because those should have been the focuses here.
Like Sakura Wars, for example, being in a Robot Wars game, like a main console game, I think is a really welcome addition. You know, like they could bring a lot of character to things.
The Iron-Blooded Orphan setting in general is rife for exploration or to allow different crossovers than general Universal Century.
Like a different way to utilize Mars than before. And, what else? I also really appreciated the, seeing the Shinkalion kids.
Yeah.
Like, granted, it was only just the one, but you get what I'm trying to say here, right? Like, 30 will always be that game where, while it has a lot of potential in stuff like maybe the mission structure, the mission-based structure, instead of like the traditional structure that we are used to, and like the emphasis on upgrading a main unit ship, right? Like, yeah.
It's just they need to stop shoving in Universal Century into every goddamn game. Like I said this before we knew of 30's roster. I said it during the initial preview of 30's roster. I was proven, I had people agree with me after people played the game.
That, like, there is way too much Universal Century representation within 30, and because it's like, Double Zeta just doesn't happen, and it leads to a lot of other questions, right? Like, okay, you're saying to me that Charged Counterattack and Zeta Gundam happened,
but Double Zeta didn't, even though Double Zeta sets up the circumstances for Unicorn, and you have narrative in there.
So, and narrative kind of doesn't work without...
And yet they completely missed the point of Unicorn and blamed it for why Victory happened, when that's actually Hathaway's Flash that explains why Victory happened. It's like, you keep missing the point.
But back to this.
What's your overall preference, Real Robot or Super Robot? Mixed, honestly. I like Real Robot, I like Super Robot, it just needs to just tell a good story.
Yeah, honestly, like at the end of the day, whether it's Real Robot or Super Robot, you gotta tell a good story.
It's like, case in point, I love Gao Gaigar. Gao Gaigar is Super Robot that is operating under Real Robot rules. You can do that crossover properly. Any thoughts on the current state of the MCU? We've actually not seen an MCU thing outside of No Way Home of the entire Phase 4 slate. So, considering how much we've been working, we missed most of that.
By the way, you didn't think this fight was over that easily, did you?
Yeah, I mean, Skeleton, it's gonna operate under undead zombie rules. But yeah, I think the criticism I can lob at the current state of the MCU and its phases is there's too much content. A bunch of these Disney streaming series should have just been movies. Like, I heard a constructive criticism about the Obi-Wan series, and that you could cut it down to a movie length from the miniseries it is, and you'd actually end up having a better story because it cuts the chaff. It's like you give people a movie budget for a blockbuster movie budget to make a TV series, and it's gonna look nice, but it's way overworking the VFX staff, and you're not exactly getting better content out of it.
Okay, that is hilarious.
Like, granted, there are some of those you can only tell in miniseries form, like WandaVision. You can only tell a story spoofing television series as a television series. Or, you know, streaming TV series, but no, a lot of these should have just been movies.
Alrighty.
Yeah, so are there any other series in Super Robot Wars V that you would swap out for another besides UC Gundam? Not especially with V. I think everything there works as it should with the cast it introduces. Now with X, I would not so much swap out series, but add other series to. Okay, swap out Buddy Complex because Buddy Complex content is just pointless for the most part in that game. But I think that should have been the one where they added other mecha isekai series like Rayearth for the first time.
Right, like Rayearth doesn't debut in the actual isekai game, which is
strange as all hell.
Like,
and they've not. I've liked the Rayearth concept they've done in TN30. It's just like those aren't exactly the right games for its content, and the when you actually go to Sephiroth in those games, it kind of feels a bit like a non sequitur.
Now, granted, I do appreciate NT when he covers me like all these other like, you know, super robot pilots and stuff. You know what I mean? Like,
Opinion on sci-fi having supernatural elements like gods. It depends on execution.
Also, now you'll see the true might of my spirit form. He just stole a bunch of souls.
Like, okay,
they're dead now, by the way.
Yeah, it's like, okay, you guys gotta remember this. I'm a certain Magical Index fan, which is science versus magic in the most literal sense, with all magic powers being derived from rituals around deities. In the later Index novels, we actually encounter magic gods. Or now, I shouldn't say we. Toma, the main character, encounters magic gods. He keeps kicking their asses because Imagine Breaker negates supernatural. Any problems with Gundam Age? Gundam Age is basically the Universal Century for fans of Universal Century that don't really grasp the nuances of Universal Century. Not to say it's all bad, it's just really damn frustrating and uninteresting with its execution. Not help that each arc is just too short for what they're trying to do in each storyline. It needed to be 3 25-episode series, not one 50-ish episode show that has 3 heavy plot arcs in it that aren't allowed to have the best development. It did very badly.
Now, I have heard some people on my, from my timeline, thinking H isn't half bad, and it, honestly, H for me,
in
I never seen it myself, so all I can say is that if you're a fan of it, that is cool.
In the grand scheme, it's not the worst series, but it's it's clearly trying to go back to basics without really grasping what the basics really were, and just trying to grasp for iconography with some revisions to it. Gear Crystal wants to see Gundam X and Super Robot Wars. Please.
Yeah, like Gundam X coming back would be really nice.
Hell, they could do Gundam X and IBO together because X would fit in the IBO setting. Or an amalgam of the two would be a functional working setting. DJ Toku, what is your favorite shonen series? Theirs is Yu Yu Hakusho. Here's the thing, I keep ending up disappointed by Shonen Jump series. Asked me a year and a half, 2 years ago, and I would have said My Hero Academia has been a high rater, but then a lot of the recent stuff Horikawa has been doing, which we've been informed of, has deeply soured me to all of that. I can't hate Dragon Ball. I'm not obsessed with it, but I have fond memories of it. Yu Yu Hakusho is up there. Rurouni Kenshin, again, is kind of been soured by stuff the author has done more recently. Really, years ago, before the accusations against him, I would have said Rurouni Kenshin, but can't say that in good conscience anymore, even though he never actually harmed anyone.
But it's still like on a yikes, right?
Yeah. Like, that is the one decent thing about Nobuhiro Watsuki. He was caught with teenage suggested image child porn, not actual prepubescent child porn, and there has never been any evidence he harmed anyone. But that's as far as I'm willing to defend on that in that regard.
All right, that's one pirate guy slain. No, my treasure!
Utopian Fox Girl, My Hero Academia is starting to feel really rushed in my opinion. Just look at what they did with the last couple chapters.
Oh, like doing
yeah.
and do what they're doing? So get this. So I have no problem with spoiling this because like the story's gone down the tubes. So Bakugo is fighting Shigaraki, which should have been an automatic, like, you're done.
Yeah.
Right? But Bakugo gets his butt kicked and it looks like he's dead. Sad face. But no, Best Jeanist somehow is apparently repairing his body using his fibers and stuff. Like, and it's like, wait, okay, so...
I mean, he did that before the story, but like not with someone that's been suggested to be dead.
Right. So here's the story problems with this already. One, you couldn't give an important character like Bakugo dead for 2 chapters without trying to contrive a way to get him to not be dead. Right. 2, say Bakugo is alive again, but then he dies anyway to Shigaraki in a round 2 fight. Right, with Deku.
3, this is already technically the round 2 fight.
Right, but you get what I'm saying. Right?
Yeah.
But 3, what if it doesn't work and Best Jeanist sacrifices himself for nothing? So it's like, now we're back to that same problem of the villains are currently curb stomping and they're only winning because the plot says so. Like,
also, Bakugo is a highly polarizing character, so despite him winning popularity polls with audiences in Japan, which I am almost dead certain that that poll is either rigged or the Japanese audience for the manga has really twisted sensibilities that are going against a lot of the principles that My Hero Academia promoted, whereas everywhere else Bakugo is considered a shithead and a unpopular character. And like, I kind of lost my train of thought there, but basically you're doing this with the wrong character.
Oh, by the way, look, we're actually making friends with a pirate ghost.
Like you do.
What, you just want this thing? You want this, amigo?
And also, you already did this before. In the last time, there was this big villain blow-up. So it's like, you're lapping yourself in a way that feels more alienating than the criticisms against Tite Kubo's execution of Bleach.
Like, and honestly, like, I feel like people who are disappointed with My Hero Academia right now need to go back and reread Bleach, because here's the thing, the final arc may not be everybody's cup of tea, but I can tell you that it's like the only real issue was just the burnout that Kubo was facing, because if given a bit more detail and time to shine, like, the final arc does actually cohesively make sense.
Yeah, and when Kubo would introduce new characters, he made them interesting. He made them plot essential. He made them like
Right.
there's still fan art of the Bleach cast to this day, and whereas with My Hero Aka, you see bursts of it. You don't see much Bakugo. You see a bunch of the main cast members who haven't gotten the spotlight because they've been shoved out of the way.
You see a lot of the bunny girl, Mirko,
yeah.
Mirko, and you see, like, art of, like, the really popular characters, but, like, everybody else?
Like, you can tell the actual popularity of a character by how much fan art they tend to get. I have not seen much Bakugo fan art.
Like, I've seen it, but I feel like it comes from a place of,
They consider him a shithead, but they just like shitheads.
or do you not see the problem here, you know? So we gotta get out of here.
Padre Bailey, it's hilarious how an abridged series made Bakugo likable by changing his personality. Or at least highlighting the aspects of the character that make them likable. Like, I do not read Bakugo as a tsundere. I read him as a violent jackass. It's kind of that problem with tsunderes in that they keep confusing,
Just because you're a jackass does not mean you're a tsundere. It just makes you a jerk.
Yeah, not every character that uses aggression to cover insecurity is coverable by that. And the issue there is ego. Ojunix, Bakugo's mom's more popular than her own son. Yeah, because it's a sign that she wasn't abusive. She was just dealing with a very difficult child. And the only ways to deal with him she found were to be more aggressive than him.
So, how do we get off this island?
Step 1. You find J.J. Abrams.
Step 2.
You sacrifice J.J. Abrams to the Mist Monster.
To the death to Abrams to the Mist Monster!
Padre Bailey, basically Bakugo is a Vegeta knockoff but without the charisma. And long-form character development. Can't forget the long-form character development.
And also Vegeta eventually got married and had kids.
Also, Vegeta got his ass kicked constantly.
Like, that was sort of the point that, like poor Vegeta constantly getting his butt kicked at a certain point, you kind of have to feel bad for the guy, right?
Like, there was an actual consequence to his arrogance. He got the shit beat out of him because of his own colossal screw-ups motivated by his own ego. There were he had actions, he did actions, he had consequences. He fucked around, he found out.
Uh-oh, we're under attack. The X-Nauts.
DJ Toku just likes Bakugo, but at the same time, they have big issues with Izuku. Oh yeah, Izuku's character development has not been a positive thing, especially since they keep forgetting that he was portrayed initially as the brainy analyst, whereas he's not been able to,
here's the thing. The thing that made Deku stand apart from, like, other of his contemporaries was that he approached each battle, like, not as, like, I'm going to punch it really, really hard. He was like, okay, I know I can punch this guy really, really hard, but is there anything else I can do to, like, mitigate the damage? Like, what is this guy's weaknesses? Like, what, like...
Yeah, he was supposed to be the thinker guy, and yet that got put on Bakugo as well, despite Bakugo's aggression. It's like every positive character trait you think was going to go to Izuku didn't. Especially with his lacking ability to analyze his own abilities to either improve them or get around his his things he can't get around. It's like every arc you kept having to reset and move the bar.
So look, we're being attacked by a pirate ship, so to what our solution is, let's go talk to that pirate ghost and see if we can't use his ship.
HG Advised kind of likes Dad Vegeta from what they've seen of Dragon Ball Super. Yeah, because that's a post-character arc developmental character arc Vegeta. He acts differently because they're acknowledging that he has changed.
And also the fact that, like, notice how he's still recognizably Vegeta, but he's also, like, you know, not a jerk, if that makes any sense. Like, or rather, he's still a jerk, but he's not, like, in being outwardly antagonistic, you know?
Yeah, but not just to go off on Baiko, there's other signs that the story has kind of lost the plot. Like, with the recent thing with Mirio, not just getting his powers back, but getting into this entire conflict late and saying that the reason Shigaraki is villain is because, oh, he didn't have any friends. It's like, you are completely undermining the entire point of your character by being that petty about this, when the entire point of the villains being villains in My Hero Academia is society failed.
Right, not because they didn't have any friends, and also, like, Mirio's reintroduction just bothers me because the whole point of that whole arc was that Mirio was
bargain basement All Might.
Yeah, he that was the problem. Like, he was too much like All Might because, and All Might, it's what Hiro Aka was trying to say was, what, like, the traditional heroism isn't inherently a bad thing, but over time, it's not a reflection of what society needs.
Yeah,
right?
Whereas society needs heroes that can understand, empathize with, and talk down the antagonists.
The aggressors and stuff. They don't need a hero that punches everything that moves. They need a hero that can, like, empathize, right?
Yeah,
it's like,
talk down people, because not every person that appears like a villain is a villain, and Mirio is definitely a character that entirely misses this and has from the beginning. And in fact, the entire point of his character was to miss this, because he is a hero that wants to protect a million people, but his special ability makes him intangible and thus is unable to protect anyone but himself.
Right, and but point is, when Mirio got reintroduced, it's like, wait, you mean to tell me that Eri, off-screen, managed to master her abilities when the whole point of her character was that she couldn't control her powers to that level of extent just yet, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's like, so what, is Eri, we're never gonna see Eri again? Like,
that's something that need to be on screen, and if they do it on screen in the anime, fair enough for the anime fixing something the manga screwed up, but it's another sign of how the story has just lost its plotting, and in rushing for the conclusion, it's screwing up everything that made it work. Pure Crystal wanted to see Endeavor being exposed by his villain son in front of everybody for the shitty parent he is. I thought he was.
Yeah, no, he was. Like, if you haven't read the manga, they're, like, in the last big, you know, war arc, Dabi revealed himself to be Toya, Endeavor's son, and he revealed to the entire world what Endeavor did to, like, cause all this, because, like, what better way to showcase the effects that modern hero society has on people than, like, look, I am the prodigal son returned, right? And because of what Dabi was showing off and the whole war arc in general, it showed that heroes to the general populace that, you know, society, like, we can't have our faith in our heroes, you know what I mean? Like,
granted, this is not made better by the government that was covering this shit up instead of calling it out, because, oh hey, it's only villains that do this crap. But even to the defense of Endeavor, he tried to get his Dabi to stop using his abilities once he realized that they were harmful to him.
Yeah, that is the other point. Like, Endeavor, once he saw that Dabi was hurting himself, like, he legitimately wanted him to stop, you know what I mean?
It's like, Endeavor is a bad father, he is a abusive parent, but he was not that far gone in his obsession.
In fact, actually, in more recent arcs, he actually was changing he's actually been changed for the better. Like,
yeah.
He's a man that truly regrets everything he did, because once All Might left the picture, it was that moment he realized everything he did meant nothing, you know?
Yeah, so there was earlier realization and comeuppance for him whereas you've had so many characters that have had less development than that in the series.
So look, we got chip-to-chip combat. So we actually have one more boss fight.
DJ Toku, I've been missing a lot of chat. Sorry for that, everybody. But I want to point this out. Honestly, their issue with Izuku were kind of there since his first up with Bakugo. His relationship with Bakugo is very unhealthy. It is! And that's one of the problems with My Hero Academia that just has been more and more highlighted, in that Horikoshi sees this as a story of two childhood best friends who grew apart coming back together, and it's like, no, this is a victim and their bully. This is a toxic relationship, and the fact that the story did not try to bring that up more is just a sign of the writer pointing out the societal problems with the Society of Heroes is missing more about what causes those things than just, oh, this person was not treated to their needs. Treated appropriately to their needs. It's like, I've said this before too about My Hero Academia and its recent revelations, in that All Might was not the problem. All Might was a symptom to not say a symptom, he was a character how should I phrase this? All Might was not the problem. All Might was...
He was the Band-Aid, almost.
He was the Band-Aid trying to fix things that were far larger than even he realized. And it's not like he was not helping with that, because he was fighting against one of the root causes for why things got so terrible. It's just, you can only do so much. You can only practice what you preach so much without anyone actually following the footsteps to say, hey, I should help improve things too, and not leave this to just one person. Because I don't think people should be blaming All Might for things he was neither responsible for nor knew anything about. If you knew about something bad and didn't do anything to help it, that's on that person who didn't help, and that's the problem with the society. No one was actually trying to help in the ways that matter. Or I shouldn't say no one, not enough people were trying to help in the ways that matter. Media Hood reviews. Is it so wrong that I want to watch something with superheroes where they can just be good people and save the day? Yes, I think people should want more of that. I feel that's when a lot of hero stories are at their best, when you have that main character that can actually reach out their hand, but if the opposing villain is ready to stab them, they can still deck them.
Jackpot. Full health, full audience.
So many minions.
Wow,
I didn't want to say anything in case I screwed you up on that. Wow.
Yeah, you would never been able to do that.
Becky 2, it's basically the same as when people say Batman should kill Joker when it's on Society of the Joker isn't given the death sentence. Yeah, Joker is past the point of insanity defense on a lot of that. Hell, I like that the recent Harley Quinn series showed us what a sane Joker is like, with him being a I shouldn't say helicopter parent, but an overly concerned parent because of the stuff that's going on in the Harley Quinn series. It was actually kind of... I liked what they're doing with them on that. But yeah, normal Joker should have been tried, should have been executed. Should have had his execution rushed through by the government. I'm pretty sure they've attempted a few times where they could just get permission to do an assassination on the Joker. Thoughts on Tiger and Bunny as a show? Never seen it.
You ever seen Tiger and Bunny?
No, I never got a chance to.
I actually have the Blu-rays. We can always put that on the list.
Yeah, it's on our list.
I honestly think it's a pretty decent show. From what I don't know about season 2, but I remember liking the first season.
Yeah. Ogenix, recently worked on the high-grade Crossbone X1, really loved building it, look forward to working on the real grade. Are there any other good Crossbone kits that are not behind Key Bandai? That would be the Crossbone from the Build Fighter series. I'm forgetting its name off the top of my head.
Crossbone X Mao.
Yeah, the Crossbone Mouse.
Man, this is getting old. How can I lose again? I hate losing.
Audrey Bailey has asked this question before. I was deliberately avoiding it. I do not want to see video game IPs appear in mainline Super Robot Wars because it's supposed to be a crossover of the anime series. I do not mind when they include original generation stuff. I do not mind stuff like Cosmos from the Xenosaga games has appeared in Super Robot Wars OG Saga. There's a reason for that.
Like in Super Robot Wars Alpha 3, they actually had a Virtual On, which was an arcade.
That is the one they're bringing up. Yeah.
Like, I feel like, okay, that one is explicitly, with robots and stuff. So, I think that's like the one. You know?
But generally, that's a no.
Though I won't lie, I would not mind it if like they added Mega Godzilla into a game, like
outside of DD,
like outside of DD, and like have Godzilla not be like he's doing his own thing. Like imagine playing a stage and there's a Godzilla hazard. You know what I mean? Like everybody's all gangster, and then suddenly Godzilla rolls up, and it's like
Godzilla's approaching the generator. The generator's under attack.
Oh.
Media Hood, on the off chance you have seen it, thoughts on Sonic X? I liked Sonic X for the most part. The 4Kids dub had its ups and downs. They really, really screwed up with the last saga on that, in that they changed a lot of the plot when they should not have, or had no need to.
So this computer guy wants us to sneak into the boss's room and steal a disc.
DJ Toku is shocked that no one's taken the Crossbone Mao and painted it yellow and called it the Mao Luca. I considered it because I have all the Crossbone high grades and the real grades because I wanted to turn them into the Crossbone Sentai Gokaidam, based off the Gundams based off of the Gokaidra color palette. That kind of fell into the background because I have the Shoto figures now. That and lack of time. Asked this earlier, have you heard of or seen Solar Opposites? No. Oh, yeah, Media Hood Reviews wins with this one. The computer guy wants Peach to find the computer room.
Now I'll have you concoct a potion that will make you transparent. Here.
Is it the time thing?
Yes, but I'll let you know when the...
Yeah, this has a timer on it, but Alexis is not made aware of the time, so I've got to time it for her. molded any of them from the hat from Gokaio? No. Do you think they can make a Crossbone anime, or has that ship sailed? Crossbone is younger than Hathaway's Flash, and they made the Hathaway's Flash movie, so it's plausible they could do it. It's just, and people have wanted them to do it, it's just they've not been for whatever reason.
Alright, the timing thing's about to come up, I'll let you know.
Is it after you take the invisibility potion?
Or no, like, that's the thing where, like, this is the thing that, like, heats up the invisibility potion, but we need to do it for 30 seconds. So, once they do. Alright. Yeah, see that? So...
Yeah.
Alright, it begins.
8, 7, 6, 25, 4, 23, 22, 21, 20, 19, 18, 17, 16, 15, 14, 13, 12, 11, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Please let that work.
Is it safe?
Ah, dang it!
Too long?
Let's see here. Yeah, red, blue, yellow. I think red, blue, yellow, green.
Yeah, I could see how this minigame would become annoying.
Mm-hmm.
Don't think this got answered. What are you building? Gao sheep from Gao Bull or Gao Bison.
So I think the minute.
Second it turns red.
Mm-hmm. After the heating starts to stop machining.
Yeah. Ten, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
What am I doing wrong? Like, it's always the... come on! Like, see what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
I started the timer the second that it started to turn red.
Yeah, look, no, I'm not blaming you, it's just you...
Peace. Okay, I should, peace in the chat. I don't like paper jokes. They're usually terrible. Terror of Death is asking about the Crossbone Dust manga. I have not heard about Crossbone Dust.
Alright, so... Alright, let's try this again. Ready?
Yeah. Seven, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Is it?
It's green. So it's either correct or it's Romulan ale.
Yeah, we did it! But
First try!
we have to get naked, though.
So they become Yoko Hikasa.
Yes, we have to. Let's get naked. Oh, whoa, okay, I'm sorry. I didn't realize this game was about to get rated M for mature. I apologize. This is so lewd. He's like, what? That was creepy. Why did the doors open even though there's no one here?
Glitch in the system.
You're losing your mind, man. How long has this stream been going for?
We've been at it for a little over a half hour. Or hour and a half. I mean, they could just think it's one of those Shadow Sisters, because shadow on the floor. How does they have a shadow on the floor if they're not reflecting light? Oh great, they're playing Space Invaders. Oh, Luigi showed up.
Alright, let's...
Algenix, you've asked me about real grades before. The problem is I haven't built a lot of them. I own them, I have not built a lot of real grades.
I have.
Alexis has, but I have been too busy with other things.
He has been far too busy with other things.
My busyness rating for this year sucks.
He's very busy about being busy. It's the busy smell. It smells busy.
The...
Nothing like a little espionage.
I I'm surprised she didn't keep the potion that made her giant, because that's clearly artificial, what's the Mario power-up that makes someone giant?
The Mega Mushroom?
Mega Mushroom, yeah. If they could patent that potion, they could have Mega Mushrooms whenever they wanted. And invasion by cat.
Where? Cat!
Yes, Odette likes to lay at the edge of my desk over there because that's where a window that gets sun is. And as y'all know, cats are solar powered.
Princess Peach, I will protect you.
Here, Crystal, what is my thoughts on Gundam Wing on Endless Waltz? I consider it a good codex of the Gundam Wing story.
Meanwhile...
DJ Toku, best fights in Code Geass franchise. Strategy-wise, I want to say Narita, fan service, Gurren Satan's debut.
You there, suspicious guy. You know something about the crystal stars?
Media Hub reviews, just make sure your cat doesn't open an interdimensional portal out of hatred and resentment. I missed that reference. Alexis, did you catch that reference? Or is that just Lupa with her cats?
Yeah, that if it's a reference, it's escaping me. So,
Ogenix, do we prefer mainline Bowser or RPG Bowser?
all Bowsers are valid.
Including Bowsette.
Yes, including Bowsette. So look, we're gonna actually have a fucking war in the middle of this town.
Here, Crystal, which is better song, Last Impression or White Reflection? I'm kind of a fan of the Rhythm Emotion cut, but I keep Rhythm Emotion and White Reflection both on my music files.
So, if you remember, that Super Bomb we know is busted, but...
Oh, it's a She-Ra joke. I have not seen the new She-Ra series yet, but I've heard good things.
Yeah, he threw a grenade, but it didn't work.
Yeah, you left the pin in it.
Uh-oh. Whoops.
I actually have no idea if that works with grenades, because the point of grenades is the explosion builds up on the inside, and then the shell turns into shrapnel.
Well, to be fair, it was a Super Bomb, so, like...
Fair enough. It's Mario logic.
Yeah.
But I'm pretty sure that if the external side of a grenade is compromised, the explosion still goes off, but the shrapnel doesn't it doesn't shred in shrapnel. Probably a different pyrotechnics expert or a demolitions expert that can tell me differently. But that's just the logic I'd run with. Unless the superheating of the contents caused the inner detonator to go off before the entire thing became compromised, in which case, yeah, standard grenade.
So we're finally sailing back to Roadport.
There of Death's a question I've been wondering this for a while. Why is Frozen Teardrop bad? Basically, it screws over most of the main cast members for a story that does not need to be told and is redundant and repetitive to the resolutions of the plot that happened beforehand. It's like, you reset the conflict onto Mars to make Relena the Queen of Mars because royalty, even though she didn't want to be royalty and that was part of her plot arc. it's like a story. It's a story that misses the point of the series is part of. Just to induce more conflict in a story where all the main conflicts of the story had become resolved. Ojanik still wants to know how a bomb becomes a captain of the ship without being used as ammo by his own crew. Maybe he has a bad detonator.
I mean, also, look at that stash. Do you see that stash?
Yes.
Also, here's a better question. How does a bomb operate a ship without any hands?
Well, maybe he plugs that wheel in his back into the steering column.
But then how do you raise the sails?
Winches?
I'm just saying, we have to ask, there's some logical questions here.
Actually, half the creatures in Mario don't have arms, so...
Here...
Media Hood Review. So regardless of franchise or medium, what would you consider the worst villain redemption arcs? When the villain does not actually learn anything or redeem themselves, and stays basically the same as when they were villains, but the cast treats them as being reformed. So it's like, not quite Vegeta. Vegeta had a semblance of an arc, even if it was slow. Like, you got his introspection on his perspective and showed that, oh, he wasn't super evil villain. He was just an enemy of the heroes because of his own selfish motivations. Like, that's not super hard villainy. You can take different angles with that. So his slow pace of redemption, that's not the kind of things I'm talking about. It's like, it's the circumstances where the person that was a bad guy and acted evil in no way changes. So, or then it's not so much they're prevented from changing by their end, but their death prevents any actual redemption arc for them besides them doing one thing that benefits the heroes. I'm trying to get into territory of not being spoilery while citing an example while not going over my usual treaded ground.
Alright.
Yeah, okay, JX Demon has a good one. Wanted to say some of the Mario enemies without arms have some form of telekinesis. I was thinking along those lines to myself, I just hadn't voiced it. It's just what I think, though. It'd be funny to see some of them play sports without an appropriate limb. Goombas playing baseball or Boos playing soccer. Yeah, that's a good addressment points. Also, another mustache, I think. Unless that's just the edges of their robe.
Oh, like we can just buy it.
New badges?
So basically, like, this is a shifting house, so, like, if you ever find yourself thinking, I want, like, more of one thing over another, then you can shift it to something else.
Ah, rebalancing.
Yeah. Like, say if you found yourself, like, having too much health, but not enough badge points to, like, do cool stuff with, you know?
Terror of Death question. If you got an actual working Death Note with none of the consequences using it, who would you use it on, fictional or real life, or both options? I don't think there are that many disadvantage consequences to using the Death Notes. Like, from what I remember, the Death Note rules were you get your live tap if you get special eyes that can allow you to see people's names.
The other thing about the Death Note was, like, if you use it, you go, to Super Hell.
Oh yeah, the purgatory thing. I forgot about that rule for it.
Yeah, like, that was like, the one thing, that's what made, like, the final fall of Light, like, so poignant. It's like, after everything, Ryuk's like, I don't freaking care about you.
You just provide me some entertainment.
Yeah, like, that was, like, Ryuk's whole thing. He was looking for alleviation from his boredom.
New law of fiction, mustaches are automatically cool. Yes and no, I hate facial hair in general, but that's me having facial hair that I hate. My dad had a mustache for many, many years, and I don't know how he deals with it, because every time I have my facial hair grow out, the follicles, for some reason, start causing me pain. Like a burning sensation. Then when they're moved, it spikes pain. I don't know why it is. I've actually been trying a few different creams for it, but it's not going away. Odette? No, do not scratch that.
Odette!
She's been scratching a lot of things. She's being a bad kitty.
Dad. Guys.
Yeah. Ordered that spray bottle yet?
Ordered it today.
Good.
At 12 this morning, and it will be here tomorrow.
Okay.
It's some mint. Pretty good.
Yep. Mint extract is what it's called.
Okay. Extract.
Here, Crystal, feels bad for the Japanese live-action actor for Light Yagami, because he always gets typecasted in Death Game movies. Kind of. He was also Makoto Shishio in the Rurouni Kenshin films. He was good in that role. Mediahood. Weirdly, Ryuk doing everything purely because he's bored is still a better character motivation than most of the DCEU heroes. Oh yeah, it doesn't have to be symbolism and metaphor and blah blah blah. A character motivation is just what makes a character do the decisions they do. What made the character decide to do a thing. Easiest motivation to write is just life experiences. Life experiences are a valid reason to have a character do something. So yeah, for those who have been following my SMP Gout Ranger project, this is where I am with Sheep right now. Have to repaint. Here, Crystal, I know you know about the Battle Royale movie, but have you heard about the sequel and how it is hated by everybody? Yes, I did. I'm pretty sure I brought that up when I reviewed Ryuki. In that, those movies are a sensation, but in all the wrong ways. And people blindly aping them just make the problems worse. Like, first Battle Royale, based from the novel. Good movie. Even me, who is sour to the Battle Royale story format, says it's a good movie. But people are just too obsessed with continuing that kind of narrative story, even though, hey, this is pointing out how really bad this thing is, and you constantly aping it, it's kind of ignoring that to the extreme. DJ Toko and Ryuk being bored as a motivation. To be fair, Ryuk does not operate on human morality. Yeah, but motivation does not require morality. It's just, motivation is why is this character wanting to do this thing?
Yeah. Morality can come into question at some point, at a later point, but, like, I could say I want to conquer the world because I want to, like, have all the pizza.
Yeah, right? And again, morality is one of those things that's consequential of life experience and culture. You can have someone with great morality come from a terrible culture, or you can have terrible people come from a culture with great morality. It's like, morality is not just a human trait. it's not a character being alien or from another race does not necessarily mean that they have no morality. It's just that their morals will be different because their cultural, their racial, cultural expectations are different. Like, people stereotype the Klingons with honor because they're a warrior race, and yet that is a valid culture. There have been cultures like that in human history. There's no reason that's invalid. It's just they place different priorities on different things. Like, we also finished watching the Majestic Princess movie, and the different culture of the bad guys in that series, that's still a valid thing. It's monstrous to us, but it's all they've known to them. And even then, they have dissenters from that mentality of logic. Wolgaru, why was I forgetting their name too? I am terrible with names.
Like, I really do like the Wolgaru as, like, bad guys. Oh, Majestic Prince. They were good in 30.
Yeah, they were good in 30, but it's back to that. I feel like their space stuff should have been the primary stuff instead of Universal Century. Like, you could have... honest, I know why they included Universal Century stuff. They needed Amuro back because he's one of the original 3 for Super World War, so is needed for the anniversary, but...
So it's like, okay, fair. Like, that's fair enough.
But that should have been there instead of even though it is there, it should have been the focus over victory. TV Jones describes it as blue and orange morality. Yeah, primarily because of Portal. Because GLaDOS is on a different ethics and morality chain, as is Cave Johnson, by proxy, than you would think of for normal characters. I'm surprised they didn't go with red versus blue morality, because that's also a thing where red morality tends to be more emotionally based, while blue morality tends to be more dispassionate logic and ethos. Not ethos,
Pathos?
I don't think pathos either. I think I used the entire wrong set of descriptors for that. But yeah, they subscribe to the logic of systems for their morality instead of it being defined by their personal beliefs or experiences. Basically, the Lelouch versus Suzaku conflict is a red-oni, blue-oni morality conflict.
Oh, Magic Crystal Star and MacGuffin Door, show us the way!
And not in the general stereotyped red-oni, blue-oni stuff that is usually a descriptor found on TV tropes.
Oh, okay, I love this question. Terror of Death. Do you think Good World Fusion for IBO in a Robot Wars game would be Blue Comet SPT Laser?
Yeah, I was skipping that one, because we've had that one in previous chats. And yes, that one is probably going to be fine for that. I don't know much.
Your memory's better than mine, okay?
My memory is better than my memory is better than yours on certain things. Like, we've had that question like 3 or 4 times. Including in the 30 stream, if I remember correctly.
How do you remember that? I don't...
If I am remembering correctly. I might be off on that. Yeah, we've been asked a few times about Lasner.
Our next destination is this Poshly Sanctum. There's no fearsome monsters or dangerous dungeons, it's just a tourist destination. Yep, and to get there, we have to take a train.
Ogenix is asking you, Alexis, about your favorite Gundam opening. That slaps hard.
Oof. Okay, okay, I'm not selecting G Gundams because that's too easy. Oh, Shine in the Storm from 8th MS Team. That immediately pops in my head. You know that one, right?
Yeah. I mean, that one doesn't pop in my head because that's from that period of I'm not a fan of the opening themes of that.
So let's see here. Luckily, I have a guide in front of me, so I know exactly where I need to go to initiate the next chapter, so...
Probably gonna need to coat these on with liquid plastic.
Aww.
Just make sure they don't fall apart
Poor
on me.
boss. The big man's been sick with loneliness ever since his daughter skedaddled.
So we're gonna have to find his daughter.
Yep. Luckily, we know where she is.
We've encountered her before.
Yeah, she was one amongst the shipwreck. She stayed behind on that island with her boyfriend. The Secret Life of Pinatas.
Media Hood reviews, just an aside, I hate modern superhero deconstructionist material. I hate every one of them. Not even gonna list off all of them. And yeah, some of them make decent points, especially... I want to say The Boys is... Okay, The Boys comic is bad.
Everybody agrees that The Boys comic is bad, but I've heard nothing but praise for the TV series that actually like takes the immature bullcrap out of the comic and actually
addresses what if you were dealing with an evil Superman, and fair enough. Everything I've seen from it, it's politically topical.
And also, like, the whole point of Homelander is that while he is an evil Superman, and yes, he has all his power, he also kind of sucks if you actually forced him into a fight. You know what I mean? Like,
he's a bad fight. He's all hype.
Right. Like, if you were to actually, like, put him up against somebody that knew what they were doing, like, and could match blows with him.
Now, if you hate that the heroes of The Boys are as morally bankrupt as the villains, fair enough. I'm not gonna fault you on that. I've not actually watched everything of it. I've just seen a bunch of clips. I have no interest in actually seeing the actual content of the show, but I take it from the angle these are flawed people who want to do better but aren't succeeding. And I'm more willing to accept that than the shows that claim a hero is moral and yet show no actual evidence of them being a moral person. Like, again, my constant condemnation of Ryuki is Shinji is a terrible, terrible protagonist and more of the villain than several of the antagonists of the show, with how he enables people to be harmed. Like, someone in the chat said that their favorite character in the show was Oja, and Oja was terribly written, but he was at least consistent in him being an antagonist, despite the general anarchy extremes that he would go through depending on writer. Like, sometimes he's written as a sociopathic serial killer who's actually intelligent, just prone to fits of impulse that drive him versus other times, depending on the other writer of the show, he could be written as a complete idiotic anarchist that has just gotten to survive things through taking advantage of opportunities he sees. Like, one is depicted as intelligent person, the other is just a carbon copy serial killer, not even serial killer, not supervillain, just someone who should not have survived for as long as he did. Yeah, I'm closing the Toku book again. Ogenix is asking about the real grade unicorn. I built the real grade unicorn. They are solid. Just make sure you're careful about handling the arm. I ripped one of mine by accident when trying to assemble it. You two have a favorite writer?
Like, did they say writer?
Writer. W-R-I-T-E-R.
Okay, just making sure.
I've had a few throughout my life, but it shifts depending on how I've received their content more recently. Like, Riku Sanjo is consistently solid, but he only has a small amount of things he's done.
Xenoblade, the Xenoblade Chronicles writer, I know he's the same one behind, like, like, he's been around with Monolith Soft since forever, but, like, hot dang, do all 3 games, like, just...
Hit hard, yeah.
Yeah. It's like, you may not agree with every single thing in each of the games.
I don't, but you can't help that they actually sold what they were trying to do for the most part.
Right.
Okay, they brought up Invincible, about how it's a better take on that, with the more positive, upbeat hero trying to do well, but struggling because it's a harsh world. And you know what? The harsh world approach of beating down an optimistic hero, not opposed to that either, as long as they don't break them. Because the entire point of... I remember Lewis's video on Heroes in Crisis. It's like... hero's acting out of character because they broke him, and when you break, you're out of character. It's like, no, you broke the character because you made them out of character. You didn't break them inside the story, you broke them for the audience. Because you forced them to do something that they wouldn't, and the circumstances did not allow them to reach the point you wanted them to. It's like, that's the same thing for a lot of heroes, and I've reviewed stuff that have made that same mistake. You want them to be in a place, but they have no reason to be there. I hate that when they do that. Yeah, Meteor's actual point about that is like the hero Invincible is actually about the heroes being heroes, and the Superman equivalent's views on everything is all backwards, and yeah, that's valid because you thought of him as the hero, but he wasn't. He was just waiting in the wings, and from what I saw from clips of Invincible, even Omni-Man is not cut and dry bad guy. It's like he was playing off of a different set of rules than everyone thought he was.
And also the fact that Omni-Man comes from like a cult, like a warrior culture that like his own people called like who they deemed were the weaker of their species. So Death Battle actually put it bluntly. It's like, what if you took a Saiyan, like the power of a Saiyan, but you made him more bloodthirsty?
Yeah. Like, what if you put, like, again, the thing people get wrong with writing Superman. Superman grew up on Earth. He has an Earth morality because he grew up with Earth's culture. He is not an alien in the sense of everything he knows is alien. He knows humanity stuff first. He identifies more human than Kryptonian. Wonder Woman is technically more alien to the outside world because of culture shock than Superman is. But even Wonder Woman is not generally written to be as alien to the world because she's been out in it for years.
I feel like we're approaching the 2-hour mark, and I think...
We're past the 2-hour mark by a few minutes.
Alright, so once I start the next chapter, I think I want to call it there, because, like, what better way to end a stream than, like, this... You know, like, because we've always been, like, going till, like, the middle of it. We've always been in the middle of a chapter, you know what I mean?
I wouldn't even say this is the middle chapter. This is just still beginning, but... Yeah, after this bit is a good closeout point.
Yeah, let's see here.
Are we... Terror of Death is asking, are we excited for Witch of Mercury prologue?
Okay, let me put it this way. I know we have our issues with the various Gundam series, but I can't speak for him. But for me personally, like, I'm always curious to see, like, what a new universe and a new story can bring. And if Witch for Mercury as a whole is good, then great.
Yeah, I'm not super engaged on seeing where Witch of Mercury is going. I like that they're not keeping this just terrestrial from the start. I like that they're going out into more of the solar system for this stuff. It's just, I've not heard that much about where the story is actually going to go, so it might be decent marathon fodder in the future. I'm just not...
Like, if it's
there's other stuff on our plates.
Like, if Gundam Info is gonna be streaming it like they did with Re-Rise, then I think I'll be checking it out.
Yeah. And I hate that people don't consider the net airing Gundam series as legitimate Gundam seasons. I hate people that said, oh, it's the first true Gundam series since IBO was done 7 years ago. It's like, no, there have been series since then. You can't not count them because we've had a lot of good OVA and alternate release Gundam series. Some of the best ones, in fact. You can't say Stardust Memory was a standard TV show. It was an OVA series.
So, by the way, I was just kind of skipping past all that, but essentially that blue guy is the new head of the Mafia. We helped the criminal underworld.
Mediahood reviews, really the only super deconstruction I like is the Watchmen comic, mainly because the point isn't what if Superman but edgy, but rather what if superheroes but politics. Yeah, I think they try to make... The people who try to be edgelord about superheroes try to say they're not politics, they're just evil, but politics are part of villainous motivations. And moral motivations. And it's like, you try and say all these morality plays is just, I hate this phrase, but woke stuff, but no, it's been there forever, and trying to disregard it is usually what makes someone do all the edgelord shit. Alright,
we're actually gonna call it there because the minute I get on that train, that's when the next chapter starts, so...
Yeah, that's a good place to stop for us.
Yep.
So thank you, everybody. I will try and have a scripted, completed video for you all for Patreon next week. It has been kicking my ass. It has been so difficult to get this one done. So I hope that my efforts actually pan out and it doesn't trip Content ID to get my channel get a takedown hit, because I'm at 2 strikes right now. I'm going to be checking in on a different account to make sure it's fine, but in the event that it starts getting flags, I'm gonna have to delay it until much later, unfortunately. Alexis will be seeing it because it is Alexis's long delayed Patreon request, but for you all, it might not show up for a while.
Yeah.
But yeah, thanks everybody for showing up. We will be back to stream. It's my week next week.
Yes, it's finally your time to go again.
Okay, I have an idea of what I want to do, but it will depend on whether any other model kit stuff shows up and if it's something I want to do. So we'll play it by ear on what we're gonna do, because I'm not going back to Arceus. I'm not going back to Survive. We'll see. I'll find something for us to do.
All right.